Good afternoon and welcome to NYCryptoTalk. Today's ICO review is going to be on the XYO network, also known as the XY Oracle network, a proof of origin based cryptographic location network looking to solve an issue that currently exists or lacks in the blockchain sphere, which is a location based network, basically building on what people have done with IoT devices as well as traditional blockchain technology and building them into one cohesive project. So I've been doing a lot of research on the technology and all the information that's provided, and I found a lot of useful information that I want to share with everyone. I will be going through their deck documentation because I feel that it is the easiest to actually be able to share the information with everyone. They do have a white paper as well as many other pieces of documentation, which I will show you on their website. So there is a lot of information. There's a lot of videos out there. There's a lot of details in regards to this product, and I was actually surprised at how long they've been involved with this project and as far as how much technology they have already built for this project. I have been meaning to review this project for a couple of weeks now, but I knew it was very intense and I just did not have the time. This actually took me about 6 or 7 hours to actually go through all the documentation before I even got this started. So I hope you guys enjoy. I'll try to make this thorough so you guys can understand what the project is, where the pluses and minuses are, what I feel about the project in general, and how I feel they will move forward in the future after your ICO ends and they move on to bigger and better things. So they state blockchain has just entered the real world. With the XYO network, developers gain the power to interact with the real world as if it was an API. So they're basically comparing individuals with an API, which is a bridge between two pieces of software. So they're basically utilizing the hardware, which what they call sentinels, and the blockchain. So their technology, their hardware-based technology, is going to work with the blockchain technology in basically building a location-based software. Today, smart contracts are increasingly being used to execute contracts automatically, transparently, and trustlessly, all via the blockchain. This in effect means lawyers, middlemen, and escrow are unnecessary and may someday be obsolete. However, smart contracts have one key limitation. They rely in most cases on a centralized data source for data input. So this is the whole purpose of having a network of oracles, but they will build a location-based software, which is a XY coordinate. So the blockchain will be developed, which will allow the execution of transactions in a smart contract upon location confirmation. So here on this page, they basically talk about how most smart contracts, the weaknesses is that the centers around oracles that use a single source of truth, and the vulnerability in current crypto location technology revolves around devices that report back in an object's location. In smart contracts, the data source is an oracle. They propose that the most important advancement necessary for bridging the present to the future rests on the world's ability to trust machines. This trust is best achieved through innovations in blockchain technology and must be made available through the creation of a crypto location oracle network that is resistant to attack and achieves unprecedented accuracy and certainty within the given restraint to the system. So this would be utilized in their network of oracles. So there's multiple sources of truth where the data lies and that can actually be verified and validated on. So here are the key features of the XYO network. Obviously, you'll see a lot of these main themes that happen in blockchain technology is the decentralization, so it's completely transparent and an autonomous system. There is no middleman. There is a trust network where the power and trust is shared between the XYO's network participants rather than concentrated in a single fee-taking individual or entity. So this eliminates the need for trust, and it is transparent, decentralized, and secure, and identityless. So this is the location data is stored anonymously, thusly protecting the privacy and safety of all XYO network users. This is achieved by combining a zero-knowledge proof with a cryptographic method we call proof of origin. So they have a zero-knowledge proof included within their product. So there is a privacy feature behind their platform, which I thought was really interesting to know. Platforms that are using these location-based services also have a privacy feature built into it. So here they talk about how the blockchain technology should be bridged to the real world. So if you guys are familiar, almost everything or most projects nowadays when it comes to blockchain technology really revolves around the internet the technology-based things, not real-world cases, things from your everyday life. Obviously, there's a lot of IoT-based things, which does get into individuals' everyday life. They want to be able to bridge a gap between their existing hardware, which is the XY Finder, which is a very popular device that actually can be used for keys, for dogs, for cars, for anything that you want to be able to track. They have a GPS and a Bluetooth model that actually can be utilized for the platform, and they can bridge that into real world use cases. So they want to be able to use these real world channels, the offline world as I mentioned, and basically bridge the gap so that individuals who are not really accustomed to blockchain can get into the atmosphere of blockchain. And I will go through their website. They actually have really cool information about the actual products that they offer and have been offering for the past couple of years. So the XYO network is actually going to be a agnostic platform that will be able to work with other blockchains and integrate with other public blockchains, basically utilizing an adapter, and this adapter will be able to work with the platform, and that's what you see here. This pink thing is the adapter. Right now it's working with the blockchain of Ethereum and to build these smart contracts through Ethereum, but they will be able to eventually work with Ethereum, Bitcoin, Risk, EOS, Neo, Stellar, Cardano, Hedera Hashgraph, and others. So they do actually plan on working with the actual platform. There are four main components within the platform are the Sentinel device, which is basically the actual physical device which is answering the query that is being asked for in the service. Then there's the diviner, who's basically searching for the answer, which is basically the back-end searching device. The archiver, which is where the data is stored, and the bridge, which is where the information is being transmitted. So here you can see how the main chain works for the platform and how the information flows from the diviners, the archivists, the data stores, and how the Sentinel's information get relayed to the bridge and then go into, the different smart contracts that might be done through Ethereum or future blockchain technology. So how do we do it? So the proof of origin is a key to verifying that ledgers flowing into the XYO network are valid and relies on the concept of a bound witness. A unique ID for source of data is not practical since it can be forged. Private key signing is not practical since most parts of the XYO network are difficult or impossible to physically secure. Thus, the potential for a bad actor to steal a private key is too feasible. To solve this, the XYO network uses transient key chaining. The key benefit of that is it is impossible to falsify the chain of origin for data. We determined the certainty that the Oracle witness node is in a trustless system, gather the data, and that is sharing by a calculated origin chain score, which they have here in the formula. This, along with the zero proof knowledge, allows for them to have a secure network where the data is flowing and having multiple witnesses, which they call bound witness, which includes the sentinels, the bridges, the archivists, and the diviners. Going back into the four main components, as I've already mentioned, the sentinels, the bridges, the archivists, and the diviners. Just in their words, the sentinels gather location data to be given to bridges. So sentinels can be anything from a Bluetooth to a GPS device to a QR code to an RFID. It can be a satellite, it can be an IoT device, it can be many different things. There's the bridges, which take the location data from the sentinels and pass them on to the archivists. The archivists then take the location data from the bridges and store them for diviners. And then diviners take queries and fetch answers from the archivists. Basically, this is almost like an algorithm-based platform where the information is then determined what needs to be fetched from the archivist, and they're able to get that information from the data store. And then that information goes to the smart contract and then is delivered. And then depending on how the service is done, if the Sentinel is obtaining the information for the smart contract, then all the parties get paid. Diviners obviously will get paid the most because they have the most work, but the other three parties, the Sentinels, bridges, and archivists, all get paid equally. So it's a really interesting project, so how all the different parties involved within the process actually work together, are all paid. They're all with, a collaborative project. So I think it's kind of interesting having that multi-payment system for all parties involved within a project. So obviously when it comes to a project like this, it is definitely a plus. Looking at some of the examples of solutions that they can offer. They do offer a lot of different ideas and examples of what they could actually utilize the XYO network for. So here as an example, they say take an e-commerce company that could offer its premium customers payment upon delivery service. So cash on delivery is something that's been gone, or it's not as common as it used to be back in the day, but similar to cash on delivery, it still happens here in the city. Bike messengers, cash on delivery, payment upon delivery services. This would be a great way to be able to offer the service where they can leverage the XYO network and the XY platform using the tokens to write a smart contract. The XYO network could then track the location of the package being sent to the consumer along every step of the fulfillment, from the warehouse shelf to the shipping carrier, all the way to the consumer's house and every location in between. This could enable e-commerce retailers and websites to verify in a trustless way that the package has not only appeared at the customer's doorstep, but also safely inside their home. Once the package is confirmed to be the customer's home, the shipment is considered complete, the payment to the vendor gets released. The e-commerce integration of the XYO network thusly enables the ability to protect the merchant from fraud, as well as ensure customers only pay for the goods that arrive in their home. So if there is a high price item that is being sent out to individuals, let's just say an iPhone, you're sending it over to someone's house. An iPhone might be $800, $900, $1,000. You have a very high ratio of returns or complaints that the device never got to a person's house when it could have. It happens. You can actually have the XYO device within the package to make sure that it actually got there. If it didn't, then you can find out if it's a shipment courier issue or if the person is actually lying. Then obviously complaints and all the steps can be taken as necessary. So it's a nice, interesting move that could be made for e-commerce, and I think it's a great way of being able to do it. Obviously, they also mentioned hospitals, airlines, rental car agencies, insurance agencies, drone delivery systems, autonomous driving cars. Obviously, the future is moving into autonomous vehicles, autonomous driving cars. I've talked about it in the past. I definitely think it is something that can definitely benefit from this type of technology, especially location-based technology. So a problem that they've noticed is the case of the unbalanced ratio of liquidity, as well as an issue with mining pools and how the majority of the ecosystem is not balanced. So their actual solution is that the token should remain in direct proportion to its utility, which is to some degree relies on the number of transactions it participates in. So the way they plan to solve that is through their crypto location mining pool. There are going to be XYO miners, which could be sentinels, bridges, archivists, diviners who take part in answering queries. In this pool, if a majority of the miners are of low quality, the entire pool of the XYO miners can vote to set the location verification bar low. However, as soon as more competitive machines are introduced to the pool, the system votes to increase its ideal state for the system. So as more people enter it in, they can actually have a higher rate. So they're trying to leverage it so that just like you see now with ASIC, with miners, it's the same thing that XYO is trying to do. They want to try to move away from having a very unfair advantage to certain individuals. So they want to be able to have a solution for that. They will be having their own main chain. I'll talk about that when we get to the roadmap. Just to let you guys know, it will actually have its own XY network. It will have a testnet, a mainnet. It won't be ERC20 based that much longer. So here they actually have an interesting statement that I thought was very unique to the project. So they basically say they use XYO tokens to incentivize the desired behavior of providing accurate, reliable location heuristics. XYO tokens can be thought of as a gas needed to interface with real world in order to verify the XY coordinate of a specified object. So they're almost relating it to what Ethereum has as gas and Neo has as gas as their gas, because it is basically just a protocol to transfer information from one individual to another, the XY coordinate actually. But having it as a gas, it is a very utilitarian use, and I think that's a great way of putting it. So looking at their token sale proceeds, I will actually go into the token sale statistics and how much the cost of it is and how much they're looking to obtain and when it ends. But as far as the proceeds, which I'm always a big fan of looking into what the proceeds of the token sale goes, you can see that 40% of the token sale will actually go to the XYO network growth, which includes marketing, strategic partnerships, which is great. 35% in engineering and R&D, very big fan. Their platform operations, 15%, only 5% in overhead, and then 5% which is in supporting important Ethereum platform projects. So I think this is a fantastic breakdown of the project proceeds. So I think this is definitely one of my big thumbs up for the project, being able to put it right back into it and not putting it into actual salaries. So who are they? So the XYO team is comprised of seasoned engineers, business development professionals, and marketing experts located in downtown San Diego, California. They are also a group of individuals. They do have a lot of white hat hackers there and people who are very good at looking for flaws within systems. They do have one of the individuals who won, a very young individual, I believe 17, who actually won a contest for hacking into the Air Force. So they have quite a few people on their team that are very good at what they do between blockchain technology, business development, and also, as I mentioned before, the XYO network will be built upon an existing infrastructure over 1 million devices that have been distributed throughout the world via our consumer-facing business, XY Findables. XY's Bluetooth and GPS devices allow everyday consumers to place physical tracking beacons on their things that they want to keep track of: keys, luggage, bikes, even pets. If they may place or lose such items, they can find and see where they are by viewing their location on a smartphone application. In just 6 years, XY has created one of the largest consumer Bluetooth and GPS networks in the world. So just to let you guys know, that is a huge standing. I am a big fan of working off an existing platform, and they are experts in their field already of Bluetooth and GPS networks. Building upon that in the blockchain is just adding to a next level. Big fan of that. So here on their website, you can see where they made a comment. The founder and architect of the project basically quoted that it's the most ambitious blockchain platform in recent history. So as I mentioned, it is a agnostic protocol that enables integration with the blockchain technologies of tomorrow. So it's not only going to work with Ethereum, it will be able to work with all the future technologies, Neo, EOS, Cardano, Lisk, IOTA, and so forth. So the interaction of the actual XYO network enables developers to gain the power to interact with the real world as if it was an API. The protocol is basically, if you think of the XYO network not as a blockchain application, but as a fully fledged blockchain protocol like HTTP is to the internet. So it's just a part of the actual network itself. It's not actually the network. So the protocol is just a piece of the pie, and it is the linkage between the different systems. So they'll be able to use those adapters to work with other blockchains. And building, so similar to blockchain platforms like Ethereum, EOS, and MisiGo, and others, the XYO Oracle gives developers a platform to build decentralized location-reliant dApps. So you will be able to build dApps upon the platform as well. So it is definitely a protocol and a platform that allows for dApp building, which is always a plus. Here are some of the platforms that they are looking to be able to support. So here you can see almost all the major ones out there as of right now. One of the other things that they plan on being able to build, obviously within the platform, as I mentioned before, there are going to be Sentinels, but the Sentinels can also be a Bitcoin miner or a crypto location miner, as they call it. So these are devices that will actually be able to validate and send information, and you can actually sign up to get this to be able to buy them. So the XYO miners are probably going to be a different take on what they're building right now for their GPS and Bluetooth based ones. So definitely thought this was really interesting that they're going to be building their own hardware. So obviously cool tech, very nice. Looking at their roadmap, which is very long and very in-depth as far as what they plan on doing, and they also have some pretty far reaches as far as what they plan on being able to accomplish, so I want to go over that. Here you can see in 2017 they have the GPS tracking device, the XY GPS, so this is on their actual existing platform. They also have the XY4 device, so this is their sales right now. This is their Bluetooth and GPS. They went over $1 million sales. They have the XY blockchain-based Oracle network, was born in 2017. That's when they started it. And now in 2018, they are working on the XYO token to be used in the smart contracts to access the XYO network. XYO completes XYO network MVP, so they do plan on having a testnet up by end of Q2, and they do plan on hosting a Blockception hackathon, and that's where they'll have over 100 hackers in attendance, resulting in 3 teams building a decentralized parking app on the XYO network. 2018 Q3 Q4 is when they plan on launching their mainnet for their actual platform. So this is when their mainnet will be live. They will also be able to complete their API for smart contract developers to interact with the XYO network. The XY to release the XY sticker-based trackers, which can be added to e-commerce packages. So this kind of goes back into the Apple iPhone example I gave before. So if they have sticker-based trackers, obviously that would be much easier and a lot more cost effective than an actual physical hardware device. So definitely something to look forward to. And then in 2019, they plan to grow their global network of diversified location sentinel devices and launch their satellites. So they plan on launching 2 different types of satellites, it looks like, and they actually have it on their YouTube video, but they plan on being able to have people stake their tokens into these satellites. So they plan on launching 2 different satellites that will be in collaboration with their network for location-based services. And I'll show you a quick part of that clip. They've been talking about that in their offices. So I thought that was really interesting. Obviously, a bit out there, no pun intended, but very cool to know that some projects are looking to be very adventurous. Then they have XY to onboard larger businesses, organizations, and retail companies for use cases for location verification. So obviously their biggest pitch is going to be getting partnerships for 2019, I think. Obviously this will be an ongoing thing over the time. And then 2020 is to expand their global reach of the entire XY Oracle network. So obviously they have a lot to grow in the near future. Looking at their team, the founder and architect has actually been a coder since 1978. So there's a lot of history for him in the tech field and business. He's also worked in multiple 8-figure exit events. So he has a lot of history in both business and technology. He's been involved with the XY project since its inception, since he is the founder. And he's also just a very big blockchain enthusiast and feeling that technology is definitely going to move us into the future. Then you have Scott Shepper, who is the head of marketing. So if you ever watch the XYO videos, he's the one who's basically doing most of the talking. He is the front man when it comes to the project and has been working for XY product for quite a while now. And then the remaining team all have a lot of blockchain and technology experience, as well as a lot of business entrepreneurs, people who have been developing iOS applications or Apple applications since 1980. And they have quite a bit of people here when it comes to their management team, their marketing team, their customer support team, as well as all the blockchain developers that they have. Looking at the advisors, they have an advisor from the Augur platform, which is a decentralized Oracle and prediction market platform built on Ethereum, so potential collaboration in the future, I would assume. Raul Jordan, who's actually working on Ethereum scaling right now at the Ethereum Geth sharding effort. Jack Cable, who I mentioned earlier, is the 17-year-old who actually hacked into the Air Force, is now working on blockchain security, cybersecurity for the team. And they have quite a bit more individuals working on the project, from artificial intelligence, marketing, IoT security, technology, web development advisors. So they have quite a bit of a team. They have a lot of experience in the project, so I'm definitely happy with the individuals that they do have working on the project. Looking at the ICO token sale information, the total projected XYO supply is 24 billion tokens. The projected public market sale is going to be 48 million. The Ethereum to XYO tokens breakdown is 1 Ethereum to 100,000 XYO tokens. So depending on when you actually bought your Ethereum token, whether it's pegged at 700 or 800 or 400, you can now buy XYO tokens for 1 Ethereum to 100,000. And here you can see how many XYO sold to date. They will be burning whatever has not been sold. So they have now sold well over 1 billion tokens. They do have a very active GitHub. I know I haven't checked this out for previous projects as much, but they do actually have a pretty active GitHub repository, so the developers are pretty active with checking in code. Obviously, with the mainnet ending in Q2, I would assume that this should actually be available, so I'm very happy to see that they do have an active GitHub. This is the satellite that I was talking about before, and this you can find on their XYO Network YouTube page, that they will utilize this for their location-based services. You can also check out their 1-minute video that's just a recap of the project. A lot of good information there in a 1-minute video. But if you actually want to look at what they're selling right now, this is their actual product that they have in a live market, their XY GPS and their XY4 Plus. So these are actually really interesting devices. I actually thought about buying one of these a couple of months ago, or it was an earlier device that they have, I think one of their earlier versions, because I seem to always misplace things. And this is actually really cool to be able to have this. I have a 4-year-old running around who likes to make things disappear. So they also have partnerships. One was with IFTTT. So I have talked about IFTTT, which is If This Then That. They actually have partnerships with them kind of because their actual product that they work with Bluetooth is actually one of their integrators. So if you actually pair it with IFTTT, you can have multiple steps built into the project. They also have Bluetooth, Ethereum Alliance, the Trusted IoT Alliance. So what do I think about the XYO network in general? I think they definitely have a fantastic existing product that will definitely translate very well into the blockchain space. I think location-based services on the blockchain is definitely the way to go, especially with e-commerce, the way we're moving and how things need to be tracked better and more efficiently. I know IoT is definitely one of my biggest things that I love when it comes to technology nowadays, but this is a different take on it, a different way of using IoT technology. So I definitely think there's going to be a great use case for this. And I think the XYO team itself is very, very well founded. The technology is great. The white paper is fantastic. There's a lot of information out there, great community behind it. And obviously, it is just something that needs to be looked into. Obviously, do your own research. But I think I will definitely be waiting for this to come onto an exchange once it is available. I definitely think this is going to be a big project for 2018. So please, obviously, do your own research. Let me know what you guys think. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification to get notified about new videos. I hope you guys like this. Shoot me a comment if you have any questions about the project or if you want to lend your advice, your 2 cents. Thanks again for watching. Have a fantastic day.